Hello everyone, welcome to another Matchday Monday. Didn't start that off the way I usually do actually, so hello there, it's Courtney. For anyone who's never watched the channel before, I am just checking that we're up and running because for some reason YouTube on my laptop has decided to come up with where the comment should be. Something went wrong, so I currently can't see the comments. I'm just going to get it up on my phone, so just bear with me for 5 seconds. Um, Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, see me okay, everything is okay with the video. I'm just trying to center myself a bit better for you. There we go. Um, yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna have to use this to see the chat because on my phone it is. I mean, on my laptop it's just not working. So let me know if you're watching. It says 6 people are currently watching. Let me know if you're there, if you can hear me okay. All that. Kareem says hello. So I'm guessing you can hear me okay. I'll just need to put my phone in a bit of a better position now. Um, Jack says my comments are glitched too, but volume is fine. I'm so sorry about the comments. I don't know what's going on with them. Don't know if YouTube's having issues right now. But yeah, on my phone it's working, not so much on here. Veronica, hi Chloe. I'm Courtney by the way, but thank you, Veronica. Are you gonna watch the match on Wednesday? Yes, I'll be watching it at home. Not able to do the away with it being a work night and so close to Christmas. It's busy time of year for me as an accountant in my day job. Jack says I've had that issue for a while with the comments. As long as you can hear me, that is all good. But let's go into this weekend's games. Some big results and surprises maybe this weekend, I feel like. Obviously, going to start off as usual. Don't worry, Veronica. I get it all the time. I know everyone sort of goes Chloe quite a bit because of Chloe Bloxham, who I know mates with. She's a really lovely girl. But we do see him, someone will bump into me at the ground, be like, Chloe, and I'll go, no, Courtney, but close. And I go, I knew it was one of the two. Makes me laugh. But yeah, going into our game first, I'll get back to the comments after we've gone through one or two games. I'm going to start off with the Liverpool game as usual, and we took on Fulham this weekend, and it was a tough game from the start, really. We ended up drawing 2-2 with them. Obviously, going down to 10 men massively changed the game. Andy Robber should have been off, I think, like as a sub before we got to the red card incident. I think seeing the tackle back on him, and you could possibly go that was a red as well, in all honesty. Um, Seeing that back, and even when I was in the stadium, I was like, that does not look good. That Robbo doesn't go down and roll around on the floor. He's not that sort of player. So I was like, right, Ponzo was warming up, let's bring him on. Obviously, we didn't. And I think you could sort of see Robbo was still struggling after that point, and he ends up doing something a little bit stupid. Do I think it was a red card? No. Let me know your thoughts actually in the comments, live chat, whatever. And let me know whether you think it was a red card or not, because in my opinion, I don't think it was. I feel like if the if it was only Harry Wilson, only Harry Wilson through, I can understand that he stopped a clear goal scoring opportunity, but the ball then gets passed from Wilson to Jimenez. And do I think Harry Wilson, from where he was going to go on and have a shot at goal? No. Do I think that he was going to pass to Jimenez like he did as he was tackled? Yes. So in my opinion, I don't think it was a red card, but you know what? Deal with it, like, sort of thing. We've learned that refereeing isn't the best in the Premier League for the past few seasons, so unfortunately not that unusual. I feel like the first half we were quite poor, but second half we came out, we were a lot better. Just obviously second half we're down to 10 men for all of that, and if we had the full 11 on the pitch, we would have won that game, I think. And yeah, we just weren't Wasn't the best first half for us. Gotta give massive props though to Fulham. Fulham in that first half from the get-go, before Robbo was sent off, was giving us quite a tough game, and you've got to give it to Fulham there. They seem to have been in a little bit of good form recently, so you know what, you've got to take some of them games sometimes. We done well once we were down to 10 men, I feel like, just to even come back. So, like, obviously, Fulham went 1-0 up, we came back to 1-1. Fulham then went 2-1 up, and we came back to 2-2. With 10 men, you've got to do really well to be able to deal with that. I do feel though like defence let us down, which is understandable. That was where we lost the man. I do want to do a quick shout out though. Soboslai, I feel like had a really good game. I said it at the game, and I've watched a bit of the match back, and the amount of running. I say this all the time though. The amount of running he does on that pitch, I think, is under underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about it. There was moments where he was in defence. There was attacks that he created. There was a perfect moment he created where he ran, was leading the attack, to be honest, past the ball and Mo unfortunately missed. But he had a really good game. I feel like Szoboszlai, and like I said, Fulham played really well, especially in defence. Can't fault them in any point of their game. To be honest, they gave us a really good game. Um, Attempts wise, we had 16, Fulham had 12, and I think most of our attempts came in that second half of the second half. We seemed to have so many chances that just didn't get pulled off. I'm just gonna go to the comments dead quickly. Um, Vic says, "How will I explain to my children that we lost after being 1-0 up in the 84th minute?" Gonna get into that next. It's actually our next game is Man City, Man United. Go Six says, "Hello, Courtney. I'm happy with that point." To be honest, so am I after half time. Half time in that match, I was a bit like, and even someone said it at the ground. Someone said, as we were all walking back up to our seats, they went, "This reminds me of the Forest game." And literally, don't know the person I just shouted, "Did someone just say the F word?" And by the F word, I mean Forest. And someone went, "Yeah," and I went, "Don't say that." So that was quite funny, but yeah. Jack, we could have taken Robbo off earlier in the game, definitely. Exploring the world of gaming says, "Hey, how are you? Not too bad. How are you? Hope you're well." Jack also said, "My first thought in the ground was red. It could be a good point in the long term." Vic also says, "In the past few years, Liverpool have performed better when down to men than most teams." I disagree with that. Not, or was it last season? I don't know if it was the beginning of last season or the back end of the season before we went down to um 10. There's been times where we went down to 10 men, but we also played against teams of 10 men, and neither time did that help us. And like obviously going down to 10 men isn't going to help you. But yeah, Jack, Soboslai makes me feel tired just from watching. Yeah, I think I can understand sometimes missing it on the if you're watching the game on the TV, sort of people going, "Oh, Szoboszlai doesn't have a good game," because the way camera angles work, sometimes it's a bit hard to spot where Szoboszlai is and the running he's doing. But people who go to the game, listening to them slate him, I'm like, do you not watch the other players on the pitch while the game's going on, sort of thing. Um, Ella says, "Hi, Courtney. Hello. Veronica, great to have Jota back. Really good." For me, Jota, I am already worried that he's going to pick up an injury before the end of the season. But for me, I really love Jota being a player we can bring in off the bench. Might be a little bit controversial, but I do think that helps. One, with his injury, I think like he's less panicking about picking one up because he's not got all them game time under his belt, sort of thing. Um, Shahid, I think is how you pronounce it. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Took me a while to learn Chiesa. So, says Courtney live. Go Sixers. Fulham are a good side. Mid-table is tough. Points will be dropped across the table completely. Ellis, to be honest, I'm still happy where we are. I know the gap is 2, but we've got a game in hand. Yeah, and I will get on a little bit about my thoughts on Everton at the minute when I get to the Everton game. But obviously, the next game was the Manchester derby. We had Man City taking on Man United at the Etihad, and City led most of the game. And I was sat there going, this is going to be a comfortable 1-0 win for City after a really tough performance because obviously City at the minute aren't in great form. United, they're also not in great form. Currently coming to terms with a new manager, so they had that on the side. Sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing in big games, but City come out and obviously they were 1-0 up, but they could have been, and I feel like I'm saying this a lot about City this season, but they could have been so much further in the lead because so early on in games they get so many chances. They had it with us. They've had it multiple games this season. Palace the other week, like I can probably say every single game that they've not won in the past 11 has probably been ones where you've watched and early on they've had plenty of chances, but they've just not capitalised on them whatsoever. And for me, in this game particularly, they looked very frustrated in front of goal. Like they were sort of taking shots as if they knew it wasn't going to go in because that's just the way it's been going for them recently. And they did like you could see it with certain players how frustrated they were. And I think we've seen it quite a while now with Haaland. I think he's looked really frustrated. Um but yeah, as for United, Ahmad had a brilliant game for them. I will say though, he was involved in every single goal, including the City goal. Obviously involved in 2 goals for United, but also involved in the City goal. It actually deflects off him when it is passed, and yeah, you're just unlucky sometimes with that when you take a deflection and passes it to the perfect player to score. Um, for the first United goal, he gets them the penalty, and he actually played. If you get the chance to watch it back, what actually got United the penalty, he plays it quite smartly. I think he knows he's going to struggle to get a good shot from where he is. And he sort of you see him realise he's outside the box, and he sort of makes sure to take the ball into the box quickly. Um, sort of is slightly one on one with Onana, and then I'm not sure who it is for City. Not Onana, Edison, and then I'm not sure who it is for City, but someone comes in and obviously, oh, it's Nunes for City. Slightly played out of position, but he comes in and he gets the foul on them, which leads to the penalty. And I do think it was quite smart from Ahmad. But then also he scores the second goal for United. Also serial cheater, not just in football. Kyle Walker at it again. Him and Hoyland head to head. And I will say, I feel like Kyle Walker initiated it quite a bit. Don't know what you think. In my opinion, I felt a bit more like Kyle Walker was going in more for the head to head. Head to head happened, and then I don't know whether Walker realised that the ref was behind Hoyland, so he wouldn't have a full on view of the incident. But Walker goes down as if he just had the biggest headbutt ever. And Hoyland's rightly posted about it after the game, saying Kyle Walker deserves an Oscar. And yeah, it was so pathetic. It was hilarious. And then the last 5 minutes for me, City's defence just crumbled. And defensively, City have had issues this season. Obviously, missing out on Rodri, but also I don't feel like just missing out on Rodri is the reason. I feel like there's so much more going on with City than Rodri missing. It's one of those for City at the minute, not looking good at all. And I did sort of get slated on Saturday night when I went live. People going, "Don't rule out City, don't rule out City." I'm ruling out City. I'm not saying the league title's ours by any means. I think we've got a really tough road ahead of us now. But do I think City are going to be in a chance to win it with the likes of us, Chelsea, even Arsenal still? No, not a chance. There's something massively wrong at City at the minute, and I don't think they're going to be able to fix it in time because really they sort of need to have already fixed it or at the latest fix it before New Year, and I can't see that happening at the minute, to be honest. Um, but yeah, when you look at the stats though for the City and United game, I found this really interesting. So City had 52%, 48% for Man United when it came to possession. But when we came down to attempts on goal, both teams had 10. And shots on target, both teams had 3. So really, you look at that and you think, oh, a draw would have been a very fair result in that game. It's also not very often you see stats in the game where the attempts on goal and the shots on target are equal on both sides. So that's quite funny. I'll just go through the comments dead quickly. Bum, bum, bum. Jack says, "I thought it was such a poor game." Yeah, it wasn't the best of games. It wasn't a good entertaining derby, it seemed. Doug, hi Courtney, love to see you at Anfield on Saturday. Typical of Southampton, get rid of Russell Martin before we play them. Mad that yesterday was a second day for teams. Gary O'Neill, Russell Martin, and Des Buckingham at Oxford United. I was quite shocked to see Russell Martin go. And I also don't, and if there's anyone on here that's any wiser than me, I don't really understand the hate he got off the Southampton fans. I saw the banner that they had at the stadium, the booing, because there's been times when I've seen them play this season, and for a team that's only just been promoted this season, they're playing a lot better than you would expect them to play, especially against the big teams. They gave us a really, really tough game. Um, So I was a bit confused by that, but yeah, it seems to get we're at that point now in the season where we're gonna see sackings of managers come pretty thick and fast in English football. Vic says, "I don't think the game was comfortable. United had more of the ball than normal, and we never looked like scoring. I only hope yesterday that it was United." Yeah, I think that's a massive issue with City at the minute. This is what I was saying. I don't think Rodri is just the issue. There's issues in defence, but also in front of goal, the players look like they know there's something up and like, yeah, I'm just gonna not hit it with the force it needs. I'm out the box. I'm just gonna shoot and see what happens and sky it sort of thing. Um, Jack says Nunes was so poor in the back end of this game. Yeah, and by the way, before people think it's the City game one, so that Nunes. Um, Doug saying Kyle Walker is an embarrassment, supposed to be the City captain too. Yeah, there's very few players I really don't like in the Premier League, and it's not just about the football. It's about their attitude and stuff that they say in public I don't agree with, or stuff they've done. Kyle Walker is one of them. How he is the City captain, I have no clue. But again, we're talking about cheating. Quite fitting that City have a captain who's well known for cheating as well. But yeah, you could probably guess who another one is because doesn't play for City then, plays for Arsenal. Might help you there. I don't know if I'll ever talk about him on the channel. But yeah, you could probably guess who that was. Ella says, was going to say with us, Nunez's work ethic is awesome. You just can't score. Yeah, I do think though with Nunez, I do think it's a massive confidence thing as well. But to be honest, sometimes when he's not scoring, he's still making amazing assists. He's not even assists, sometimes it's creating the play that leads to the goal. It's defensively sometimes, like I'm sure in that Fulham game, he was right by the corner flag defending at one point. Like we need to sort of look at Nunes more than just the goal scorer. You need to look at more of the package of him. I feel like. Um, Doug saying Villa play City at Villa Park on Saturday lunchtime too. Should be interesting that one. Nor Fred says we did well to get something out of that game yesterday, but I can't believe we have literally got rid of two huge challengers and yet let Chelsea in. Ella says, I agree with you there. Courtney Fick says, the reeling us out as I'm says Fick says I'm reeling us out as well. Now our goal has to be top four. Jack says agree 100%. Courtney City have multiple issues that will take time to fix. Fick says I've never seen United look so confident that they have before. It seems like everyone has more confidence when playing with us. Go Six says Kyle Walker is a tool. Ella says that's true. That is Courtney. Yeah, just my thoughts. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I don't express my opinions too much sometimes, just because obviously mainly talking about Liverpool, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be one of them people that's like, but you know what? I want you to get to know me a bit better, so this is one way of doing it. I might do a Q&A at some point if anyone's interested in that. You can ask me anything. Doesn't have to be football related, so we'll see how that goes. Next game is one of the massive teams now in the title race, and that is Chelsea. Chelsea took on Brentford and won 2-1. I would say pretty comfortably. Not really sure though, because it is pretty nervous at times for me, I felt like, towards the end of that game. Brentford, though, poor defensively. They had a few stupid mistakes that luckily didn't turn into goals. It was one of those watching it, I was like, "How have Chelsea not scored more?" Because they're just stupid little mistakes from Brentford, and obviously, luckily for them, it didn't turn into more goals and kept them in the game for a bit longer, but obviously, unfortunately, they did not manage to get anything from the game. The second half, though, I feel like the first half was mainly Chelsea, second half, both teams had plenty of chances, and this is what I mean, like, Brentford could have easily came back into this game. It could have gone either way in that second half, especially after that, goal from Brentford. It was a nervous few minutes for them, I feel like, for Chelsea, but early on in that second half, Brentford had a few chances to go 2-1 then. So, it's it's interesting to see. I don't think it was the best Chelsea performance, but they still got the win. So, and I say this all the time with us, with other teams, you need to get them wins if you want to win the league. And I know Chelsea's managers doing the whole, "We're not in for the title race." No, no, that's not gonna be us, blah, blah, blah. Mate, you're in the title race, like, we're nearly at Christmas and you're second place, 2 points off Liverpool. Hello, welcome to the title race. So it's interesting though to hear the manager do that. It reminds me a bit of Klopp when Klopp was like, "We're not talking about the title race. We're just focusing on the next game ahead," and wouldn't let the players, like, even when this season we won the league and we, like, were very clearly gonna win it. Just he wouldn't let them say anything until it was true. Jack says Q&A would be fun. Ellis saying was surprised at that result. Brentford are a dangerous side sometimes, definitely. Jack says Brentford's away form compared to their home form as well. Yeah, home Brentford seemed really good. Like, obviously they had a really good win against Newcastle last weekend. So Brentford's one of them teams I think you've got to take with a pinch of salt. You don't know fully what you're going to get with them, and I think you've got to prepare for their stronger side to turn up, which to be honest, didn't look like Chelsea did. Chelsea, don't get me wrong, they got the win. That was the main thing. What I'm saying is it wasn't a fully convincing performance from them, I feel like, because of the chances Brentford had. I think if Brentford got a goal back earlier on in that second half, I think it would have been even tougher for Chelsea and you would have been probably looking at a draw. Doug saying Cucurella as well had a bit of a mad game. Goal, dive, yellow, and then a red after the final whistle. Yeah, these Cucurella, I think, has anger issues, and the reason I say that is after the game last weekend where he slipped twice with the boots and he changed them, it was just a bit of a weird reaction to his boots. Like, I don't know what it was, but then obviously in this game he's gone in and he was lucky, to be honest, with the yellow he got not to get a red for it straight away, and he would have gone off. But yeah, to then final whistle, kick off over something and get a second yellow and get a red is very stupid, immature behaviour and could possibly cost Chelsea in the next game if he misses it. So, bit of a weird one. Next one was, in my opinion, quite a big shock result this weekend. It was Arsenal Everton, which ended up being a goalless draw, and it was at the Emirates, which for me, Arsenal at the Emirates is one of the tough games to go to the past few seasons. I think at the minute the form isn't where it was at the beginning of the season and most of last season, but it's still a really tough game. And obviously Everton at the minute, yes, Everton seem to have got a few more better results lately, but I still wouldn't say the performance has improved much. But in this game, I feel like it did for Everton. To be honest, I don't know whether last weekend with the derby being postponed has helped them quite a bit, but it seemed a lot better performance from Everton. There was very few. Sorry, I'm just fixing my earbuds. Very few defensive mistakes from Everton, but it was better than I was expecting against Arsenal. To be honest, it was Pickford had a brilliant, brilliant game for Everton. I'm not as biggest fan. I'm not a massive fan of keepers who time waste every game, but give him his due, he did make some really good saves to keep Everton into that game, and he just seemed to have a really good game in general. Some of the saves were crazy, to be honest. Everton also though had some good chances early on in the game, very early on, but again didn't capitalise on them. And then after that, Arsenal just dominated the entire game, but just couldn't score. And that's also been a little bit of an issue with Arsenal this season. I feel like in front of goal, I just think they've not took the chances as clearly as they should have. And this was a big game for that. They had, God, how many here? They had 13 attempts on goal, 5 on target, which I think also though calls into action Pickford and sort of shows how good of a game he had. That there was 5 shots on goal, 5 shots on target of goal, and none of them went in. It's a massive plus for Pickford in that game. I will say though, Everton had 0 shots on target. They had 2 attempts. But like I said, they were very early on in the game, and if they'd got that early on in the game, it could have been a completely different game, to be honest. For either side, could have either fired up Arsenal a bit more, or it could have gave Everton a bit more confidence, and they could have attacked a little bit more. Go into the comments quickly just to see which ones I missed. Ella says, "What every make of Pep?" I'm guessing it's what do you make of Pep at RB Salzburg getting sacked? They were 5th in the league. I think they've obviously Red Bull have got Klopp coming in working for them very soon. I've got a feeling they've done it before Klopp's come in. Personally, I've not really seen much of Salzburg. I wanted to, and I was thinking, oh, this season will be a little bit quiet. I'll be able to enjoy some other football games. No, I've been mad busy because we've been doing really well. So I've not really seen much of Salzburg, but I am a bit devastated for Pep. He's a lovely, lovely guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting him before, and I gotta tell him he was the best Pep in the Premier League and make him laugh. And just yeah, like the whole backroom staff from like that left at the end of last season, not all lovely. I'm just a bit devastated for Pep that it's the way his managerial career's gone at the first attempt of him being a solo manager. Um, Jack says Arsenal missed so many chances here. Northred, if FSG do not go into the transfer market in January, we don't have any ambition. We need fresh legs. We need to strengthen. We need to be thinking about injury and fatigue. Ella says, think he'll come back to the Prem, to be honest. I think that would be interesting. I don't know if I'd see him coming back to the Prem. I think he'd probably go somewhere else in Europe first. Next game we're going to go on to was a massive, massive win for Newcastle. Newcastle played Leicester. Obviously, Leicester, one of them teams floating around the relegation area. But past few weeks they've put in decent performances, and actually got a few results in the games. But Newcastle absolutely dominated them and beat them 4-0. Could have been such a higher amount of goals for Newcastle. Like we're talking, Newcastle could have easily scored 10 plus goals in this game. That's how dominant Newcastle were from the moment the whistle blew, to be honest. They had so many good chances throughout that game. If you get the chance to watch the highlights, go and watch them just to see how many clear cut chances they had. That if your team didn't win a game or only scored 1 goal, you'd be like, what's gone on there? Like you'd be so frustrated in that game off some of them chances. Um, Leicester for me, defensively, gone completely fell apart in that game. Um, the 30th minute was the first goal for Newcastle, and the thing is, there could have been 4 goals before that moment. Like this is how crazy of a game it was. But Newcastle dominated the whole game. It looked like a training session for Newcastle, to be honest, most of that game. I think Like I said, I think Leicester probably lucky it wasn't a higher goal tally for Newcastle. Um, got some stats here. So 27 attempts on goal for Newcastle. Leicester only had 4 attempts on Newcastle's goal. When it comes to shots on target, Newcastle had 11. And when I say shots on target, when you see the chances, they were decent chances, not like very you look at it as a shot on target and you know it's not gonna be a goal. These could have all very easily been a goal. That's how bad it was for Leicester, and Leicester only had 1 shot on target. After that, if this really affects Leicester, which it probably will do mentally, it's not gonna look good for them. I feel like, Newcastle have been really good against the top 6 this season, pretty standard for them, but they have slightly struggled against other sides. You look at going away at Brentford last weekend, I know obviously this game is at St James's Park, but it's a massive win for Newcastle, but it is a devastating loss for Leicester. It's gonna be interesting to see how they bounce back from it at the weekend, and then obviously next week we are playing them on Boxing Day, on Thursday. So, I'm hoping they don't come back from it well. I hope we sort of have a result like that against them. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Boxing Day, but that's for a whole other reason, which you will find out about on either Christmas Day or Boxing Day. I'm not sure yet, but I'm very excited for that game. Um, Next game is Southampton Spurs, which Spurs winning 5-0. All goals coming in the first half, 45 minutes, and they were 5-0 up. Southampton fans were leaving on like the 20th minute, I think it was, something like that. Which I don't blame them because weirdly last night a lot of the games got pushed to later. I don't understand why. Um, but yeah, it was Spurs dominated the game, obviously. I don't think that needs to be said. The first goal for Spurs though came less than a minute in, and then from that moment it was like shooting practice for Spurs at times. Um, Going on, this is what I want to get into. The manager of Southampton, Russell Martin, got sacked after the game. But funnily enough, before half time, he went down early and he actually missed the fifth Spurs goal. Which I think after the fourth goal, he sort of went running down the tunnel. Now, is that to try and prepare tactics to try and salvage the game somehow? Don't know. Is that because there was some sort of meeting that was going to be happening down the tunnel? Who knows? But yeah, really good result for Spurs. Again, Southampton, a team who possibly we might be looking at getting relegated. Not a good result for them. But when you look at the stats though, possession wise, 48%, 42% to Southampton, 58% to Spurs, which doesn't really reflect the goal line and how the game went most of the time. um, Jack, from what I seen here, Newcastle could have had about 10. Yeah, it could have been like remember when we played Bournemouth a few seasons ago? And to be honest, I was sat not far from Jack for that game. Because I remember being in the upper main stand and talking to my dad about the game at times. And Jack sits near where my dad sits. But we were all going, we want 10, we want 10. That was the sort of game it was for Newcastle. How they only ended up 4-0 and not 9-0 like we did in that game, I don't know. Um, Jack says, "Make sure to like the stream, everyone." Thanks, Jack. Um, I appreciate any likes, comments, subscribers. I was close to 15,600 subscribers earlier today. I don't know if I've hit it. Um, but yeah, I appreciate it massively. I would never have dreamed I would have been in this position. Ella says, to be honest, Newcastle on the bad side. Then they will probably lose next weekend. Yeah, this is the thing with Newcastle. It's very inconsistent lately, um, which sucks for them. Like I have like a little bit of a soft spot for Newcastle because I've got family who support them, and I used to live in the northeast for a little bit. And when I couldn't obviously come down here for Liverpool games, there was a few times where I went to St James's Park and watched Newcastle. I remember watching them play Man United and probably being one of the loudest people there because we were by the front and there was United players running in front of me. I remember one of them very specifically being Rooney, and just scream and break his legs. To which my stepdad, who was at the football with me for the first time, was like, I was like, "Well, it's Man United, what do you expect?" Um, Jack says, I mean, like I said about Southampton playing out from the back of the bed, definitely. Um, Shahid says, "What do you think of the Man City versus Man United match?" If you go a little bit earlier in the video, I actually already covered that. It was the second game, so after the Liverpool game, I covered that, but yeah, crazy. Ella says, "Lol, my stepdad is from Durham, which is just outside Newcastle. So he's technically a Geordie just because he supports Newcastle and he lives so close." Going on to the next game, and that is Wolves against Ipswich. Ipswich getting a massive win for them, which was 2-1 victory against Wolves. Um, Crazy first goal though for Ipswich. They had a shot which deflected. Probably is really good deflection for Ipswich, good block. But then it comes out and a player has another shot and it becomes like a pinball game where it ricochets off two players and then goes in. Unlucky for Wolves there, but crazy goal for Ipswich. Wolves' first goal, if you get the chance to see that, really good goal from a tough angle. We keep seeing these lately when we're going on about angles where, oh, should you have scored there? Was the angle too hard? This is probably an angle you're looking at where you're not expecting a player to score from, and he does really well to score from it. Wolves, though, had plenty of good chances at 1-1 and just couldn't score them, couldn't take the opportunity with them and take the lead, which then Ipswich took the ball and won in the last minute with a goal. But with Wolves at the minute, we had it last weekend with West Ham. There was anger issues on the pitch there. There was a little bit of a scuffle at the end of the game. And again this week with was it Kuna or Aiton Nori? I can't remember. I think it was Aiton Nori. But there seems to be something going on with the Wolves team where there seems to be massive frustration, which I get. They're not getting the results that they want and probably sometimes the results they deserve. But that seems to be manifesting itself in anger, and that could get them in a lot of trouble on the pitch if it doesn't get sorted by the next game. Because there's 2 games in a row now where it's bubbled up at full time. If it bubbles up within the game, or even we've seen it in the Chelsea game, a red card after the game, it could really affect them if they're missing players then. So that's going to be a bit interesting to watch out for. Um, Jack says big 6 pointer this one, and Ella said the full time. Don't know how Lado didn't get sent off. Not even gonna try and spell his name for Wolves. It was crazy. I don't get that anger though. This is the thing. I feel like once, yeah, fair enough against West Ham. Doing it again, the second game, not too sure. I'm gonna go on to the next game, which is Forest against Villa, and Forest get the win, 2-1 win, even though Villa did go up 1-0 first. Forest coming back with 2 goals. I've said this all season, though, another thing I've said, which is if you're playing Villa after a Champions League game, don't count on Villa winning. I think they've won once after all the games they've had after a Champions League game. And I genuinely think this Champions League could be a hindrance on them. I don't know if they seem to be doing really well in the Champions League, that's the thing. But then when it comes into the game the following weekend, after playing midweek, they seem to struggle. It seems to be a stamina thing where the game goes on, and as the game goes on, you can see them getting more and more tired. Um, Martinez has a save from the corner. It was almost like a basketball stop. The ball is sort of almost behind him, very much on the line, and it wasn't like a save like you'd expect like this or like catching it or whatever. He actually puts his hand on the ball and stops it almost like that, which was a crazy, crazy save. Really good from him. If you get a chance to see it, it's probably one of the best saves this weekend in the Premier League. Forest though, they came out way better in the second half, ultimately getting the win. And Villa, like I said, looks so tired towards the end. I don't know if that is an issue with the Champions League. Sort of seems to be a running pattern, so it probably is. This was also a weird stat. Possession was equally split 50-50, which is something you don't see much. So maybe a draw might have been the fairer result, but Forest definitely fought really hard for that win in the second half of the game. Jack saying Villa's record after Europe is poor. Not surprised Forest won this one. Yeah, it's been obviously amazing for Villa fans to see their team back in the Champions League. But I said this about Newcastle a few seasons ago, and I've also mentioned this when talking about Villa this season, that sometimes, yes, it's amazing to have Champions League football back. If you're trying to build your team up, it can be a massive hindrance and affect what you're trying to build with the team. If it comes maybe a season later than you'd want it to, it could probably be the best thing for you. Look at Newcastle at the minute. I still personally think they might be struggling a little bit off that. I think if they'd not got the Champions League when they did and had another brilliant season in the Premier League, you might have been looking at them if they win Champions League this season being a little bit different. But obviously, it wasn't meant to be for them. And then we're going on to the last game, which is Brighton against Palace. And this result did actually shock me. It was Brighton 1, Palace 3. Now, all season, I have said Brighton being in brilliant form, doing really well with such a young manager, which was a big shock, I think, for everyone. Obviously, everyone has this thing in their head where a manager's got to be a certain age, have a certain amount of experience, and Brighton sort of chucked all that to the side and proved everyone wrong. But I will say, there's been a massive drop in form for Brighton, I feel like, after a really, really good start to the season. It's their first loss at home all season for Brighton, which it coming this late on in the season sort of shows how good of a performance they've been putting in. Palace, they were the better team in the first half, but Brighton, I'd say, were the better team in the second half. Just unlucky not to get any goals, really, only getting the one. Um, Probably would have said the draw would have been the fair result, but Palace in front of goal just looked unstoppable with them 3 goals, done really well. Yuck percentage though, 65% of Brighton, 35% of Palace. It's crazy. 17 attempts on goal for Brighton, 13 attempts on goal for Palace. Does not reflect the scoreline whatsoever. 5 on target each. Like, it does sort of, you look at it and it goes, oh, it's either leaning a bit more Brighton's way or it's leaning more a bit to a draw. And somehow Palace completely gripped onto that win. Palace, though, they've been pretty decent the past few games. Obviously, they had a really good draw against City and were sort of unlucky not to win that game. But I do think Brighton have had a little bit of a drop in form. It's going to be interesting to see if anything changes for them over the next few games, whether they find the rhythm they had at the beginning of the season or not. But yeah, that's one I'd look forward to this next weekend. I guess looking at Brighton and seeing how they get on. There's a game tonight at 8 o'clock, so in 15 minutes, which is Bournemouth against West Ham. Obviously, West Ham missing Antonio, but obviously no clue when or if Antonio will play football for West Ham or for anyone ever again. Sadly, had a really bad car accident. Yet to be seen how he'll come back from that. Sending thoughts to him and his family. Obviously, not nice to go through, but I think that might affect West Ham in the meantime a bit because he was one of their star players, alongside Bowen and that as well. Um, I'm just going to go through. Ewan says, "Do you reckon we'll win anything this season?" Um, I'd like to think so. The way we've been playing a lot recently, obviously excluding the Fulham and the Newcastle game. Um, I definitely think we make a cup final. Don't know what cup final that'll be, but I feel like we make a cup final somewhere, whether that's Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, I have no clue. But I think we hit a cup final. Ella says Palace have been struggling as well. Yeah, definitely. But Palace have had the better form of late, it feels like, especially out of the two teams. Jack says M25 derby, not sure why, but I think Palace have a good record in this derby. Ella says, to be honest, they're a dodgy side, Palace. Jack says, I think Bournemouth will win this one. Um, Peter says, is Robbo injured? I've not seen anything today saying anything about it. To be honest, I've been quite busy in work, so I've not been on my phone looking at much LFC news. I got my little notebook with all my facts and thoughts about the games now. So I've not really seen much of that, but I think it's something to keep an eye on. Do you know what? If he is injured, obviously it's not good with our defence at the minute, the injuries we've got, but I don't mind Gomez going over and playing for Robbo and Kwanzaa coming in as a centre back. I think I've got faith in that working. The the way it didn't work is having them 2 right next to each other for a full game, like in the Newcastle game, where Joe was covering where Trent would usually be and Kwanzaa's right next to him. I don't think that would work, but it's gonna be interesting. Jack says may need may need you to go left back on Wednesday, Courtney. No chance. I was never a defender. I was a attacking midfielder. I used to get told to run the pitch, do whatever you want, sort of thing. Very Coutinho-esque or Szoboszlai, where they're in the centre of midfield, but they can basically run anywhere. That's what I used to get told to do. So, if anyone ever wondered, there's that. So that's all the games. Obviously, we've got one more tonight. Be interesting to see how that goes. Bournemouth, West Ham. I'm with Jack on that one. I know Jack said I think Bournemouth will win this one. I think the same as well, to be honest. But yeah, we've got obviously Christmas coming up next week. I will hopefully be live next Monday for a match day Monday. Obviously, that's just before Christmas, but I do travel up to my mum's on the Friday, so it won't be in this setting. It will be in a different place. I just need to before I go live and promise that I'll be live. Need to check the Wi-Fi speeds at my mum's because it's not the best sometimes for streaming. So I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, if I don't see you all then, I hope everyone has a brilliant Christmas. No doubt I will be posting stuff over the festive period, so make sure to check that out. Obviously Boxing Day there'll be a match day vlog there. Look forward to it is all I can say. I'm so excited for it. Really excited for it. And then yeah, we have Boxing Day, which is Thursday. And then we play that weekend as well, I think. And then obviously we have the New Year lot of games and going to January. My birthday's the 4th of January, Saturday the 4th of Jan. And we play Man United on the 5th of January. So games are coming thick and fast now. Um, Obviously for Liverpool, but for everyone in the Premier League. So these match day Mondays are going to get busier and busier. I feel like I do want to put a warning out in January. They might be a bit all over the place. The only reason is, and I mentioned this a bit earlier in the video, is I'm an accountant. January is one of the busy periods. If I need to work later, I work for my dad. If I need to work later to help him out and that, obviously these might have to be taken a miss just because we are so mad busy in that time. But I'll definitely, it might be a case of just being a live chat talking about the football, not so much a structured format. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. This is gonna hopefully be a weekly thing, obviously, except this current period of time, just because it's a bit of a hectic time of year for everyone. But like I said, if I don't speak to you beforehand, have a wonderful Christmas. Hope you all enjoy it. If you don't celebrate Christmas, have a lovely next week. Enjoy the the place was being quiet over Christmas. Obviously, it's not quiet leading up to Christmas, but, like, after, it sort of calms down after Boxing Day sometimes. Um, but yeah, enjoy. Have a happy new year if I don't speak to you before then. Obviously, Matchday vlog will be different, but I mean, like, in this live format. But yeah, and if you haven't already, go and check out Saturday's Matchday vlog. There will be another video from me later this week, which is about the hospitality in the Brody's Lounge in Anfield Road End. Thanks to Seat Loader, who are official resellers of hospitality for Liverpool Football Club, and they exclusively work within the Brody's Lounge, and brilliant lounge that, like, it's my I've only done hospitality twice, but it's very well, actually, no, I've done it 3 times. The Brody's Lounge is my favourite hospitality I've done. So, go and check that out if you do need tickets. Check them out. It's probably the easiest way if you don't go to the match often to get tickets. And they have given me a code for 5% off, which is Courtney5. Go and check out my last match day vlog. It's all in the description below to help you out. But yeah, with that being said though, I shall see you all soon. Thanks for joining. Bye.